Critical pedagogy is a teaching approach that encourages students to question and challenge domination and the beliefs and practices that dominate. Developed by the Brazilian educator and philosopher Paulo Freire, critical pedagogy is rooted in the belief that education is inherently political. Freire's work, particularly his book, Pedagogy of the Oppressed, argues that traditional education methods can reinforce existing power structures and marginalize certain groups. Instead, he suggests education should empower individuals to question and transform the world around them. Critical pedagogy intertwines with theories of social constructivism and democracy in education, drawing also from Marxism and other critical social theories. The first key characteristic of critical pedagogy is its emphasis on developing critical consciousness. This means teaching students to analyze and question societal norms and power structures. Educators encourage students to critically engage with content, making connections between their personal experiences and the larger social and political contexts. Secondly, critical pedagogy is dialogical. In other words, it replaces the traditional banking model of education, where the teacher deposits information into passive students, with a model where teacher and students learn from each other through dialogue. This creates a participatory environment where everyone's contributions are valued and learning becomes a cooperative endeavor. Third, critical pedagogy is transformative. It aims not only to impart knowledge, but to inspire change. Students are encouraged to use the knowledge they gain to challenge the status quo and make positive changes in their communities. This aspect of critical pedagogy is about empowerment and action, not just understanding. The fourth characteristic is its focus on social justice. Critical pedagogy involves teaching students about inequality and oppression in society, with a strong focus on how to combat these issues. It often involves themes of anti-oppression, anti-racism, and anti-sexism, aiming to develop a more equitable and fair society. Let's look at some examples of critical pedagogy in the classroom. Often it involves educators using classroom texts that question traditional historical narratives or introduce case studies that highlight social injustices. In classrooms, this might look like students discussing the impact of colonialism on indigenous populations, analyzing the role of media in shaping public opinion, or exploring the effects of gender bias in science and technology fields. One major strength of critical pedagogy is its potential to foster a proactive, questioning attitude among students. This educational approach encourages learners to be active, critical thinkers who do not simply accept knowledge as it is presented, but question and explore it. Such skills are invaluable in a rapidly changing world where individuals need to adapt and scrutinize information critically. Another strength is its commitment to social justice. By focusing on issues of inequality and oppression, critical pedagogy promotes a more inclusive and equitable educational environment. It helps students from marginalized backgrounds feel seen and heard in the curriculum, which can increase engagement and academic success. However, critical pedagogy is not without its criticisms. One criticism is that it can be overly idealistic. Detractors argue that its emphasis on changing society can burden educators and students with a moral responsibility that is beyond the scope of traditional education. Critics claim this focus might detract from the acquisition of basic skills and knowledge, as the curriculum might lean too heavily on theoretical critique at the expense of practical skill development. Another criticism is the potential for bias. Because critical pedagogy often involves a teacher's personal beliefs about society and justice, there is a risk of imposing these beliefs on students. This can lead to a lack of neutrality in the classroom, where education might become a platform for activism rather than a neutral ground for exploring diverse ideas and perspectives. So, what do you think? Does critical pedagogy have a place in classrooms? Let me know in the comments. Also, I briefly mentioned the banking model of education earlier. To learn more about that, I've left a video here for you to watch next.